I kind of begrudgingly respect just the dedication to not getting better at what you do for a living. Just coast through life.
It probably shouldn't even happen.
If you got it, you got to flaunt it, Acid.
You know what? I got a lot of stuff that I don't want to flaunt, so I just keep it to myself.
Jeremy is really big into the used mattresses. I think that's an excellent deal.
He has a used mattress store on the side.
I'm not going to pull the pants down without the pants down cue.
And we found out that Anthony's friends are all 13-year-old boys.
Clay, how you doing?
Doing a little more poorly after that terrible, terrible introduction. I was just fine, to be honest with you.
Hello, Sci-Fi Gangsters. This is the show where we talk about comic books, science fiction, and video games, but really it's just an excuse for me to catch up with my friends and to meet interesting people. I'm Anthony Nadar, media scholar and person who's really excited about the panelists that we have today, my guests that we have today, including our featured guest, perhaps, right? Dr. Suzanne Scott, associate professor in the Department of Radio, Television, Film at the University of Texas at Austin, and author of Fake Geek Girls, a book that I have read. Now, usually I would actually display the book to show that I have read the book. I did it with Paul Booth. I did it with Amanda Cody. But I have the digital version, so I can't do that. But I'm telling you, it's a fantastic book, Fake Geek Girls. But I'm super excited to have our particular guest on here, Dr. Suzanne Scott. Suzanne, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And kind of let's get this out of the way right off the bat. So out of all the authors that I have read throughout my times in my master's program at Auburn and my PhD program at Georgia State, you, besides Henry Jenkins, you might be my most read author. So there you go. Pretty exciting.
That's high praise. That's really lovely. Thanks to all your professors for assigning it, I guess. So shout out to all of them.
That's true. That's definitely that's part of it, most certainly. But really excited to have you on for our topic today, which is virtual cons. We'll be talking about virtual cons. Do we like them? Do we don't like them? What's the pros and the cons? Pros and cons? Was a pun there?
See what you did there.
Moving on to our next guest. We have CJ, aka MDSoul. CJ, how you doing?
Doing great, brother. Doing great. Super good. A little sweaty from outside out here in El Paso, Texas. It's hotter than Satan's underwear, but it's okay. I'll be perfectly fine out here. But it's been a great day, man. It's been a great day.
All right. Well, fantastic. Great to have you on, and excited to talk about virtual cons with you. Our next panelist here. Panelist is the right word for it. Our next guest here is Lyndsey. Lyndsey, former cohort of mine, good friend, good friend. Maybe we'll see. So, Lyndsey, how you doing?
Depends on how many puns you've said in like the last 30 minutes as to whether it's friend or not.
There's more.
They're enemies now.
Once again, I got that crackhead dad energy, right? Crack dad. That's not good. That's not good.
No.
But no. Lyndsey, good to have you on.
Thank you. It's good to be here again. I'm for Dr. Scott. I was a former film graduate student.
Cool.
Thank you for interrupting.
It's a moonshine.
And I will say you are also one of my favorite authors during that time period.
That's wild. Thank you very much.
I was actually using you quite often in my master's, which wasn't even in film and media, but I found your work and it was absolutely fascinating. So as soon as Anthony's like, "Hey, guess who I have on tonight?" I will do anything to have a conversation with her.
That's nuts. That's so incredibly nice. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, very good. Excellent. And of course, my co-host and also another very good friend and my favorite Auburn bus driver of all time, Acid. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm tired. I'm hot, and it's been a long week. Has it been a bad week? It has been a long week.
Did like the rest of the United States get hotter this week or something? Because Georgia has been cooling off, and I have been enjoying it.
Cooled off a little bit in Texas this week, just a little bit, like just enough to trick you, right?
Right.
There's
There's a lot of
week.
cloud coverage, but that heat turns into humidity, and it's like yuck.
Yeah.
It feels sticky.
Yeah, this week has been like the first week of fall in Georgia, so I've been like.
Well, it's been real nice. It's been real nice in the morning, and then after lunch comes, and then it's up at 90 degrees again. So I don't. It's the weather can't decide what it wants to do, but that's okay.
Welcome to the South.
We're dealing with it. We're dealing with it. And shout out so far to everybody in chat. We're having a load of people in chat come in, YouTube and Twitch. So welcome to everyone here, and I hope you enjoy the show.
Yeah.
Well, once again, for all of you who are joining in, we're talking about virtual cons. The virtual con experience. Obviously, we're all big con people. We go to the fan conventions. We just had our Dragon Con recap episode, so definitely check that out. Actually, one of our more viewed episodes with the Dragon Con recap show. It was definitely a lot of fun to talk about our time at Dragon Con, so definitely check that one out if you're interested in that. We talk about all kinds of cool things, like how fun it was and how much we missed it. But yeah.
So did you all get to go?
So me and so Lyndsey didn't, Acid didn't, but me and several of the people that we've had on the show went to Dragon Con. So there was 4 of us on the show, that particular episode, who all went to Dragon Con.
Nice.
And then there was me.
Including a friend of ours. Yeah, including a friend of ours who actually got to moderate the Harry Potter panel. So he got to talk about his experience doing that. So that was really cool.
Yeah, I just drove by and like people watched it from the car.
Oh, yeah.
So I got to see all the fun cosplays from a distance with glass protecting me.
Fair enough.
Yeah, the way they had it set up this year was if you didn't buy your tickets in advance, you didn't get to go, right? So they had they capped out the tickets, and well, obviously we talked about this on the particular episode, but it was definitely it was great. Obviously, there was the concern. The great thing was that they required your vaccination or a recent negative test, and then everyone had to wear masks, and everyone was pretty much wearing their mask, which was pretty great. So.
This was going to be our first year doing Dragon Con. We've been like leading up to it for many years, and I've been wanting to go for many years, and like this was going to be the year, and then it just didn't quite come together. So hopefully next year, fingers crossed. I hear nothing but amazing things about that con, and we're a big cosplay family here. So yeah.
Excellent. Now I know you've been to San Diego Comic-Con several times. I remember you telling me that.
Yeah. I've been going
since
2006 every year. There's a fly in my house. I apologize, y'all. We've been going every year since 2006, and I've been going pretty much exclusively like as a fan, like less as a researcher, although that's about to change because I jumped on this research team that's doing an ethnographic swarm, which sounds so sci-fi and cool, but it's really just like an ethnographic method where a bunch of us are all going to like sort of invade Comic-Con for a couple of years and do some research there on the con. So that's coming up in the next couple of years. But yeah, I've been missing it. The past couple of years. It's hard to be away.
Yeah, and as someone who has been to San Diego Comic-Con once, and the only reason why I got to do it, so I did the field study with Radford University. It's very different from Dragon Con. Dragon Con's a very different experience in a lot of ways. So the best way to describe it is it's definitely more of a party con than any other con that I've been to. And I've been to several. Been obviously MegaCon, Wizard World, the Fan Expo in Dallas. Been to several, and it's most certainly a different experience. So it's definitely worth going to kind of get the feel of it.
Yeah, the pool parties are like legendary, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Pool parties.
Yeah,
so
pool
you're
parties.
In your cosplay.
Yeah, like bikini cosplay, like swimwear cosplay.
It's like the hot tub section on Twitch.
Right. I'm curious. What happens now?
CJ's like, what have I been missing out on?
Dragon Con functions a lot like Vegas. What happens there stays there.
That's horrible. No.
Why is it horrible? I think like doing like fun like swimwear riffs on like classic
I
costumes
am a
cool. Christian.
I'm appalled.
Okay.
I'm Christian, but I'm messing.
I mean, one of the opening events is like cosplay burlesque on Thursday night. So
it does definitely get pretty crazy. The thing about Dragon Con, which is different from every other con, is that it never ends. Like it never close. Like they don't close down for the day.
Okay.
Like it's going. I mean, the actual panels keep going even.
Right.
So like it's you'll have. I'm pretty sure they even go into midnight. There's panels at midnight. It's just like it's insane how they do things at DragonCon. But yeah, so definitely. So once again, we already talked about this in our special DragonCon.
Sorry,
episode,
I didn't mean to derail us into
right.
DragonCon territory, but I was just curious.
No, more than happy to talk
Suzanne.
about it. Yeah, definitely more than happy to talk about DragonCon because I cannot talk enough. It was definitely a whole lot of fun. It was definitely more of a cosplay con for me. I did a lot more cosplay than I usually do. So that's definitely a whole lot of fun. Well, there you go. Excellent. So Acid, real quick, does anyone say anything? Does anyone say anything in the chat, or is everyone just kind of watching right now?
Well, apparently Alan says, ew, CJ smells like outside, y'all.
Okay.
And Candace Berry is also here.
Oh, that's
Just so you know, CJ.
Yes, my
Yeah.
beautiful wife.
Your beautiful
Mwah.
bride is here. Yeah.
All right. So we got CJ
and then we have
Smash
King
on
Kong
here.
on Twitch.
Oh, King Kong. I know Kong. Excellent.
Yeah,
Good to
little
have
King
Kong.
Kong. Oh, and Amethyst Mooncat is also here on Twitch.
All right. Well, very
So
good.
we got a show tonight, ladies and
All
gentlemen.
right, here we go. So let's go ahead and get to the actual show, shall we? So our first segment is we catch up first. We kind of talk about some things that are new with us. So first things first, I'm actually pretty excited about what I have on Tuesday night. It's part of the Cinefest that they have at Georgia State, where I'll be at Cinefest. Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Remember, I'm a Christian.
It was DragonCon. So Cinefest, where they have, will be screening the Forever Purge, and I'm a guest speaker. I'll be talking after it's going to be a long day on Tuesday. So the film starts at 7 p.m. They'll show the Forever Purge, and then I'll be with some other people. We'll be discussing, because I've actually not seen the movie yet. So we'll actually be talking about some of the themes in the movie. So there's a lot of themes of immigration and white supremacy. So we'll be kind of talking about discussing that. So there's two of us. There's me and Andre Regan, which Lyndsey, you're familiar, he's part of our program. So we'll be kind of like the film people. And there's also like a clinical psychologist that will be there, and a criminal justice professor that will be there as well. So we'll be discussing the film, and that kind of be a discussion thing. So I'm actually pretty excited about that, other than the fact that it's going to be super late for me, because I'll be driving in there in Atlanta on Tuesday to teach my morning class, teach my afternoon class, and then just hang around until this particular film. But definitely excited to, hopefully I'll be able to watch it. I want to watch it first before, I don't want that to be the first time I actually watch the film that night.
All of them? Or just the first one?
Just the last one. Just the
last
Forever
one,
Purge.
okay.
Yeah, just the Forever Purge. We'll be discussing that, because once again, there's themes of immigration and white supremacy in it. And as someone who's writing about white supremacy, I guess I'm okay to talk about it. I don't know, but so I'm excited for that particular event. There you go. There's my thing. All right, so we'll go ahead and move on to Suzanne. What's new?
What's new? Are we just talking about like stuff we're up to, or stuff we're reading and watching and seeing, or?
All sounds very good. I'll let you be the
Cool.
judge.
I could talk about research all day, because that's what I've been doing all week, but I will not. I will not bore your audience with that. It's been a big kind of week for me in terms of like TV shows that I never thought would exist coming into existence. So like I was a huge Why the Last Man fan for many, many years. And I was one of those people that suffered through every time it went through development hell and then never quite made it to TV. So I've been really fascinated to see the kind of move to TV. And I will say that I really like it so far. I find that my expectations have been fanishly maybe too high for this. I've been waiting for this for like a decade, but I'm really fascinated with what they're doing with that show in terms of like complicating some of the problems with the comic, particularly around kind of like binary understandings of gender. So thinking about trans characters much more actively. So that's been the thing I've been most kind of excited to kind of check in on every week that I'm watching right now.
Sounds great. I've heard, so how many episodes have been out so far?
I'm behind. As I said, I'm doing a lot of research these days, so I'm a little behind, so you should not ask me. I think maybe 4 or 5, somewhere in there, maybe. Correct me if I'm wrong on the chat.
If you're like me, you have a long list of TV shows that you have not gotten around to yet, because there's so many good TV shows that pile up.
Sure.
But
I was the same way with
Snowpiercer, where I really enjoy the comic, obviously, but I really loved the show. Like it just everything about the show, I was 100% on board with. Are you familiar with the show, Suzanne?
Yeah, well, I haven't watched the TV show. I did my entire birthday. I organized an entire one of my birthday parties around Snowpiercer the movie. So like I was very familiar with that,
It's
and
the
I
sequel
love
to Willy Wonka.
Yeah, right.
Have you heard that? Yeah.
And I love the graphic novel that was done of it. It also is my favorite piece of Comic-Con swag ever. They gave out ground like insect bars as swag one year.
Wow.
The year the TV series was launching, they gave out these hilarious swag insect bars, which I might even have within arm's reach at this point in my house somewhere.
Did they say it tastes good?
No, I mean, I think that was the gag. I think it was just like,
Okay.
oh, here you go. Here's your high protein future dystopia bar, But in terms of like weird Comic-Con swag that like I remember years later, I'm like, yeah, that was a good one.
Fantastic. I think I'll go on the limb and I'll say the TV show is better than the movie. I'll say that. It definitely fleshes out the characters more. Like there's far more politics involved in the show. So there's the tailies, but then you have the elite class, but then they spend a lot more discussing the middle class, which is I find far more interesting. It's the people that are sort of in between. Anyways, there we go.
Yeah, the show is absolutely fantastic. And of course the entire cast is wonderful too. It's like they just like nailed everything about it so far.
It's awesome. It's on my list for sure. It's like not for lack of want to watch it. I just like haven't gotten around to it yet.
And the name of the actor is it David Diggs, something like that.
David.
From Hamilton. I'll say it again. He is a star. He is a star. Anyways, moving on. All right, so CJ, let's go ahead and get to you. What's new?
I don't know where to start. So all right, let's start with pets. I got a new pet.
Oh.
I got a pet bearded dragon. I named him. So it was between Lupe and Jin. I ended up having the name Lupe. Lupe Fiasco is my favorite rapper, so I was like, okay, Lupe it is. He looks like a Lupe as it is anyway. So I've been enjoying being a lizard dad. That's been enjoyable.
Ja Rule?
I thought about it, but I see. Even though I'm saying him, the bearded dragon is not old enough to tell if it's a boy or a girl. So I was like, all right, let me have a gender neutral name. So it was like I had Jessie from Pokemon, and Jin from Tekken, but Jin can also be a female name. All that type of stuff. So yeah, Lupe, the bearded dragon. It's been a pleasure to have him around. I'm feeding them mealworms and all sorts of gross stuff that I normally don't touch. So I'm learning how not to be squirmish. I'm a boy dad. I have 3 sons, so I shouldn't be squirmish as it is anyway. But here I am going, ew. So there's that. I'm just finishing up Multipliers by Liz Wiseman. It's one of those leadership books that are out there. It's really, really good. It's about developing and creating new leaders. And then lastly, the game that I'm playing is Wahoo 7. You guys know my fighting game guy. It's one of the SNK's fighting games, one of their more obscure fighting games that they have out there. And I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Surprised. I thought it was going to be whack, but it's actually pretty fun. And then I'm healing up pretty well with my wrist here. It still hurts, but it's healing up fine. So yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. Last time we had you on the show, CJ, you told us your story about how you hurt yourself playing basketball. You fell on your wrist.
Yes. Trying to protect myself. I'm in my 30s, mid 30s, and 36. As a matter of fact, next month. I'm not counting down the days, but I'm like, geez, I'm getting freaking old. But nobody
I don't want
told
to
me.
terrify you, but that thing about like your body turning on you the minute you turn 40 is very real.
It's true. Yeah.
I'm creeping up so close.
30. They were like, I'm putting my seatbelt on. I'm like, ouch, what is that? Wow,
Yep.
I pulled a muscle in my eyebrow. Where did that come from? I was putting my seatbelt on. Jesus Christ. So my wrist, first thought process while I was in the air, I was like, hands down, protect your back, because the back is really, really important. I've been going to a chiropractor and making sure my back's good because you do ruck marches and all that stuff. First response, hands down, protect your back. And I injured my hand instead. But again, better my hand than my back, because I probably wouldn't be talking to you guys right now because I'd be bedridden. So there's that. I'm healing up fine, don't need a cast. And hopefully nothing else starts hurting.
All right. Well, that's fantastic. Well, CJ, take care of both your wrist and your back.
Yeah.
Maybe put some ice on it. I don't know. What'd you do? Raise it up
Icy
your
hot,
head?
you know, Shaq. That's the Icy Hot commercial. I'm thinking about leaning towards that. So
All right, well,
That's,
very
I'm
good.
an avid icy hot.
Icy Hot.
addict.
That's
Yeah,
where it's at.
That's where it's at. Yeah.
Okay.
Not too much though, and don't get in the shower as soon as you put it on because you will regret it immediately.
Oh, that yeah.
So I put some on my shoulder and went, you know what? Maybe I should take a shower first before
Right,
and I
Icy
did.
Hot
It
is
was
like-
awful. It's horrible.
Icy Hot's like Sour Patch Kids for adults. You know,
It is.
It was
It
sour.
is.
First they're sour, then they're sweet, and it's like first it's hot, then it's icy. It's like it's Sour Patch Kids for adults. You know.
Yep.
Well, there you go.
But it
Excellent.
works.
We'll put that. We'll isolate that, and that'll be our intro. But yeah, so
Icy Hot, give us a call. You can sponsor us anytime you want.
sure,
Shaq, give us a call.
if any sponsor fits this show, it's Icy Hot.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Let's go ahead and move on to Lyndsey. Lyndsey, how you doing?
I'm doing good, and even though it's just been not even a month, I would say, since I was last on this, because it was right before Dragon Con. There's been a lot of changes. So I did end up getting another job. I'm now working at a veterinary clinic. So I'm dealing with that wonderful 10-hour shifts over there, which for the most part is actually pretty decent. I have always been an animal person. I enjoy working with the animals. The owners can be a little bit of a trip sometimes, just like anytime you have to work with like clients or customers. And then some very questionable at times decisions being made. I did have literally today a client call me and says, so my dog fell down a 20-foot hole and now he's limping. Do I need to bring him into the vet? It's like,
No, you don't have to.
Yeah, that sounds like something you need
Put
to
some
bring
Icy
him
Hot on it.
So I've got that going on, and then still doing the tutoring and everything. And high schoolers, man. I mean, I
gosh,
thought
high
teaching
schoolers.
freshmen was weird, but high schoolers get
Try middle school.
no,
I did that
thank
for
you.
about a year and a half, and I was like, I'm good. It's special ed at that. So
Yeah, we at the tutoring center, all the high schoolers, because since I'm doing test prep, we essentially have this like a little room off in the corner for ourselves so they can have like quiet time. I open the door and there's all the middle schoolers and elementary schoolers outside. And it's like, no, I'm glad I did not go that route. And then as far as like what other stuff I'm doing, I am trying to keep up with the American Horror Story again. It is interesting this season so far.
I think it's trash this season. And I do not like saying that, but I have not been having fun.
Yeah, I'm not enjoying this first plot. I'm hoping the second plot
I
might
know.
be okay.
I love the structure. I'm thrilled with the new structure. I'm like, yes, because oftentimes I feel like that show can't sustain itself. It's got like 2 extra episodes that absolutely don't need to be there and are clearly like padding. And so I was like,
Don't you
great,
hate
yes,
padding?
break. Like just like they do maybe like 10 episodes and they really only have content for 8.
right.
You know what I mean? So like, and I love
is
that show.
Is it worse? Is it worse than Dragon Ball Z padding? You know, like when Vegeta
I'm not
goes,
gonna get into that
"Kakarot, this
fight."
is how I became a Saiyan.
Well, I mean, I guess the benefit is that there's less of it than Dragon Ball
Okay,
Z.
okay.
So
That's
That's
fair.
correct.
but yeah, I'm keeping up with that. I'm keeping up with I just stopped watching to get onto this halfway through the Star Wars Visions, which is interesting.
I love it.
I really like some of it. I really hate some of it. So that's and then I'm kind of, as far as video games, I'm trying to work through Hades for the first time.
That's an amazing game. It's
Such
so
a
dope.
great
Absolutely
Good
is.
game.
Such a
Yes.
great game.
It is
I love
so
it.
good.
What do you have it on?
PC.
Okay, I have it on the
The
Switch.
only thing that matters, CJ, PC.
Yeah,
Yes.
the Master Race. I'm
Yeah, you
I'm
should know this.
Nintendo and PC. That's it. Nintendo
I-
gets a buy. It has to get a buy.
I'm just running through it right now, and I went into it thinking I was going to hate it because I tend not to like roguelikes. But then when
This
I
is-
realized the actual premise and like
Yeah.
And
setup
it's
that's
so
going on,
pretty.
it is so much better than I thought
Yeah.
it was. I'm
And the
mad at myself for
storyline,
not
it goes
getting into
along
it earlier.
Greeks. Oh,
Yeah. But yeah, that's what's been going on with me. Just a lot of interesting changes and a lot of hopes being dashed as far as some of what I'm watching, and some things that are actually really good. Question mark, depending on what we're talking about.
Well, fantastic. Sounds like you've had an eventful month. But it's definitely good to have you back on. Then we'll move on to Acid. Acid, what's new?
Oh man, what's not new, Anthony? That's the question.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, it's been an interesting week. No Rex, at least, so that's good. No one has hit me this week. I'm really excited about that. Last year,
by the way, Acid, let me interrupt you one time, because speaking of Rex, all right, so driving home from Atlanta, right, coming home, and I see a cop speeding up, right? So I'm like, okay, well, let me get out of this way, this cop. Then I noticed the cop's chasing somebody.
Oh.
Right. So someone's running away from the cop. They both passed me. I'm like, well, that was kind of crazy, right? Not about 10 minutes later, that same Jeep that was running away from the cop, I saw upside down in a ditch on the side of the road. So did not work well for him.
Yikes.
Oh my.
I have seen that so many times in Georgia. I feel like that's the way all Georgia car chases end, to be honest.
They end as their car is upside down in a ditch.
The Grand Theft Auto style.
I was kind of hoping, Anthony, that you would say, and I heroically swerved into the Jeep to stop him so that
my shirt
the officer could arrest him.
Chest.
I'm like Spider-Man.
And then I ripped my shirt off and showed him my guns. Yeah. No.
He was amazed. His jaw dropped.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Aston. Sorry.
But yeah, so construction in Auburn is so weird in weird places. And they never know what or when to do what. So there's a spot. Let me back up. I went on a field trip last week. We went to Montgomery. It was at night. I took the band to a football game in Montgomery. There were 6 of us, so I was the last bus. And we come back. We drop all the kids off. That's great. I'm on my way back to the bus lot. Okay, I'm so tired. It's after midnight at this point. Like I can't remember the last time I stayed up past midnight, and I'm outside working, driving a bus after midnight. Yeah. And I'm coming up Sanford, about to just cut through campus because everybody's asleep, there's no traffic or anything. And then I get to the gas station right there on Sanford and Gay Street. And that little block right there are 20 construction vehicles just blocking my way. And I'm sitting there like, are you kidding me right now? Like, there's nobody else out except for y'all, and it's 12:30 at night. Like, what are you better have this done by in the morning, because if you don't, oh man, you're gonna find a bag full of poo on your front step, and I'm gonna light it on fire. Okay. So there was that. The trip was great though. It rained, which was funny. It rained all the way up there and it rained all the way back, but it didn't rain while we were there. So I got to at least enjoy the football game. I have been playing Diablo 2 Resurrected. It just came out.
Oh, that's another good one.
It's so good. It will be my addiction at least until New World comes out next week. So I'm hoping I can get through with it. Or at least through it with one character before New World comes out, because New World will be my addiction until Mercenaries comes out, which comes out October the 12th. So I'm going back to back. So, and of course we always end up with Hearthstone, and they're coming up with Mercenaries. So I guess I'm just gonna fork over the $200 and just buy it. I don't know what else to do. So I can't not do it. So I'll just do it. Somehow, some way, I will find $200 and I will buy it. So, wish me luck.
Heisenberg,
yeah, I could.
Well, definitely good luck to you, Acid.
So, Icy Hot, if you want to sponsor us, please, just $200. That's all it'll take.
Icy Hot's the new sponsor.
Icy Hot's the new sponsor. Yep.
Let's go ahead and get to our topic for today, and that is virtual cons. We'll just talk about the virtual con experience. I don't know if any of you have had experience participating in a virtual con, if you enjoy them, if you don't enjoy them. Acid, I know you've definitely had you've had experience with virtual cons. So I'll go ahead, and I'm actually going to start off with Suzanne first, and kind of just get your thoughts on virtual cons. Anything interesting that you think about in terms of that kind of experience?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of this, I'm torn on virtual cons. Like, obviously, I think during the time when it was like incredibly unsafe to be hosting them in person, I think everyone made the right call to move them online. I think that's good in some ways, in the sense that it gave people who wouldn't normally have like access to something like Comic-Con, either because they straight up couldn't get through the Mad Max Thunderdome that is badge attempts, or they don't have the financial sort of wherewithal to get out to San Diego for a full week and spend the insane amounts you have to spend on hotels and food and everything else. That's great. I will say that it feels like it's not a con experience for me. It increasingly feels like an upfronts experience, which is something the industry does, where they basically show a bunch of trailers to their advertisers and like trot out their stars, right, to get a little FaceTime. And the fact that a lot of it isn't live. I mean, I think different cons do this differently, but a lot of the Comic-Con, like San Diego Comic-Con content, was not live. Initially, it was just sort of like launching on YouTube as pre-recorded videos, and like, it's not the same vibe. Like, it's not the same feeling in the air. It's not the same sense of like really being there and liveness that you get when you're in that sort of space with people who are equally, 5,000 other people who are equally passionate about you. And you've been waiting in line all day to get into this room. Like, there just doesn't have the same sense of anticipation when you're like sitting on your couch in like, your sweatpants. It just isn't the same deal. Some stuff like cosplay too, I think just like you can't translate it. Like, every year they're still trying to do like virtual masquerades, and I'm just like, no. There's like an incredible cosplay community online on Instagram and Twitter and everywhere else. Like, you can see incredible cosplay year round, not at the con, but like to try to replicate something like the masquerade, which is like so specific and so about like being in the room where it happens, that I don't really see the purpose of trying to translate those things, because part of it is about the kind of like embodied experience of being there and seeing it all up close and personal, and going to talk to cosplayers about like how they built that crazy prop that they're carrying around. You know what I mean? And so I think for me, the saddest part of it is that you lose a lot of just like the encounters that you would only have at the con, where you're like in line with someone that you've never met and, is in Klingon makeup, and you get to talking because you're stuck in line together for 5 hours. You know what I mean? And you learn each other's life stories and you make friends with people. Like, that's the stuff that does not port well to a digital space, right? Yeah. Just initial thoughts, but yeah.
Yeah, great. We'll come back to you here in a second, but I 100% agree with everything you said. I always feel hesitant to talk about how virtual cons aren't the same, because I feel like there may be a niche audience that really gets something out of virtual cons that they couldn't get out of regular cons. So I always feel sort of like, I don't want to be like the fan that says, this isn't real, this isn't great, but I'll get to my opinions on virtual cons in a second, because I do feel like what I get out of the con experience, like everything, like if we can list everything that I get out of it in terms of meeting celebrities, getting celebrity autographs, walking through the vendor hall, cosplaying, going to panels, just the party atmosphere of it, sort of like the gluttony of it as well, like just going out and like, I typically eat pretty healthy all the time, like 100% of most of the time, 90% of the time I eat pretty healthy, but at a con, I'll eat like everything unhealthy. It's just like I'm just completely gorge on everything.
Yeah,
So it's
if you want to keep your place in line, you're eating con nachos for 2 days straight, right? Like, or maybe a hot dog to mix it up every now and then, but that's about it,
Oh yeah, so there's definitely something like, it's almost like a purge. Like it's like I need, and to me, there's nothing that could replicate that virtually. It can't even come close. But I'll go ahead and I'll say just one last thing, which I think that the industry doesn't quite understand what the allure is for a lot of people. I think they think that it's like seeing celebrities and the panels and the swag and this and that. And it's like, it's not that. It's the people. It's the people that you get to encounter. It's the random conversations you get to have. And that is all so ephemeral and so specific to a place that again, I think there's just certain things you can't port online. Like, will I watch the panels in virtual cons? Sure. Like,
but it's not the same. It isn't the same, right? But I do think there is an audience for it. And I think that especially as you see the con market fragment more and more, where we're getting like DC fandom and like Disney has their thing now, like it makes a lot of sense to move a lot of them online and do fewer of them in person. Just, I think, in general.
Yeah, 100% agree with that and with everything you're saying there. Let's go ahead and move on to CJ. CJ, what you think about virtual cons? Any experience with them?
Yes, I'm going to be a little bit more brutal. I'm going to be a jerk face about this, okay? And I don't mind the dialogue and the banter. I'm a very confrontational person. So if anybody has anything to add on to that, I'm perfectly fine. But in my opinion, these virtual cons are a cash grab, all right? The powers that be are trying to figure out ways to continue to make money off of the consumer that's there. No different than video games. Remember the video game crash back in the day, and it recovered, and they figured out a formula to keep on making money off of gamers, and now they're nickel and diming us with giving us pretty much a demo of the game for $60, and then they nickel and dime you for the rest of the game. And I think that's so freaking bogus. And you know what? They're doing that exact same thing with these cons. I mean, the cons, a virtual con, ultimately it's pretty much Twitch. You know, it's pretty much YouTube. Anybody can do that. You know, any celebrity, you know, Adam Cole, he's one of my favorite wrestlers. Normally you would see him at a con. Guess what? I can see him on Twitch. So what's the difference between seeing Adam Cole on Twitch or YouTube than your specific con that you have online? But that goes into the next part. You know, again, you know, you guys know I like fighting games. You have Combo Breaker, you have Evo, you have CEO, you have stuff like that, right? And people go to watch their favorite player play in person and maybe get a few tips, and like Suzanne was saying, meet friends, get potential new friends, or for that matter friends that you've been playing online for years, and boom, this is the first time you get to meet them. But what Capcom, Namco, and some other companies done, they're like, what cons, it's perfectly fine. We're going to still continue to stream it online, and we're still going to charge people for it. That's just complete nonsense. And then what's the point of cosplay? To Susan's point, it's like, yo, we got Instagram. I want to see that in person. I want to see if you actually use metal for your armor, or did you use some of that foam? I want to see how all that's done, because there's things called Photoshop. You guys know what Photoshop is. People Photoshop their costumes all the time, but I want to make sure that it's real, and I don't get an opportunity to do that. And then also you got stuff like TwitchCon and PAX. PAX was kind of like before Mixer was offed. That was Microsoft kind of took. Don't get me started on that today. But PAX was pretty much Mixer's thing. But now you don't get an opportunity to meet your favorite streamers, and it's like I can just see them on stream. It's the exact same thing. So I think it's extremely important for this to be in person, or it's just going to be just another Nintendo Direct, a pre-recorded thing that's live. It's like, how do you have a pre-recorded live program? That doesn't make any sense. Good job, WWE. Like get out of here with that. So I am definitely not a fan of a con. I can see the benefits of it. I mean, you can argue that all day, but I think it's a cash grab for those higher ups that are trying to take advantage of these fans.
So yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from with all that. One interesting question that we can ask ourselves here is, what's the difference between a virtual con and just any other promotional event that they have online? Is there a difference? Now, I will say this, Dragon Con had a virtual con the year before during the pandemic, and I was not interested in it at all, so I didn't I didn't attend the virtual con. I will say this, though. There are several people who have commented on the Dragon Con Facebook group how much they enjoyed the virtual Dragon Con experience. So I don't know. I don't know if Dragon Con did something differently than just, for example, like a Comic-Con essentially just released, like trailers and that sort of thing. But
I would like to see the age demographics on that, because a lot of those things, it's like, as an adult, I can afford to go to these cons and while out, while some of these kids, they don't get an opportunity, so they get to experience some of those. So I wonder how old they are. Are they in that demographic between 16 and 25, or that demographic that's 30 to 45? I think that's really an important thing to note there.
Or it's other access issues too, right? So I know a lot of people who are like extreme introverts who like their nightmare would be to go to San Diego and to go to San Diego Comic-Con and be surrounded by like 125,000 people for 4 days straight, right? But they are, you know, lovers of geek culture, and they still want to feel like they have that like sort of immediacy of getting to see the new clip with everyone else. But like, but to your point, I mean, like some of these are running more or less live, and that makes a lot more sense to me than the ones that are just like pre-recorded and then they're launching videos at a set time, right? Because again, like it's really mostly about this idea of having a communal experience together, right? Yeah. And so like for me, if I'm watching the What We Do in the Shadows panel because it's just up on YouTube archive like 8 hours after everyone else watched it, it's like I maybe get the content of it. I get to see a couple clips from the new season that I wouldn't have seen otherwise, but the sort of sense of community is just not present.
It's not there. It's like online. It's like online school. You get a different experience from online school than doing it in person. You know, don't really. Yeah, it depends on platform too, right? Like Twitch. You brought up Twitch a lot. I think like Twitch makes sense to me as a platform for some of this stuff, right? Right. And like YouTube to some extent, right? But like this notion that we're just gonna like drop videos onto our YouTube channel all day and somehow that constitutes a fan event, I completely think is garbage. Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, very good. Excellent. I want to move on to Lyndsey. I want to hear what she has to say about this.
Yeah, I'm kind of trapped somewhere in the middle with all of it because on one hand, personally, I really much prefer being in person, both because it is kind of like you've mentioned, Anthony, of like it's become a habit of like every year you get to go and do this and hang out, and you know, like I was very clearly shown in like the Dragon Con episode that I had appeared on for this. I get more from other fans than I ever do from any panel, period. I could go to a convention and not go to a single panel, and I'd probably still walk out and be like, I'm happy.
Here.
Because like all of my favorite experiences are with the Bob Ross cosplay on the subway and the Jawa playing chess in the corner. That's what I enjoy. And you don't get that at all with virtual cons. However, at the same time, there are some other benefits that I have enjoyed with some virtual cons and some of my friends have enjoyed with virtual cons that are kind of hard to ignore, especially like my big con is Dragon Con. I don't really go much further outside the Southeast simply because of money, which is one of the big things with virtual cons. It is so much cheaper, whether you are a 16-year-old or a 45-year-old who just can't get time off of work. Virtual cons are beneficial for a large section of society who just physically cannot go for one reason or another. And so with Dragon Con, I always have the issue like there's 5 million panels at once that I want to go to, but with the virtual, I get to like get all of them to some extent because they've been recorded or, you know, there's somewhere that I can go. So I do enjoy that because it's like I don't have to choose whether I want to be a Harry Potter fan today or a Supernatural fan today. Guess what? I get to be both. And I do truly enjoy. I know I feel like I'm in the minority with this. I did truly enjoy with Dragon Con that they did an online marketplace in 2020 because I was able to spend more time looking for what I wanted and not being swept along with the crowd. And so I was actually being able to spend money on what I wanted and getting exactly what I wanted.
Unless, Lyndsey, you went to this year where you could walk around the vendor halls and there's just, you have all the time because there's not that many people. Because this year there was only 40,000 people versus 60. So you could walk around the vendor halls, just take your time.
Yeah, just rub it in. Keep rubbing it in. Like it was, see if I'm ever nice to you again. Let's just do that, okay? So like but at the same time, both myself and some of my friends, I have some severe mental health issues at times that cons can be an absolute nightmare. Like I have gone to Dragon Con at one point, got really hit by like a panic attack in the middle of a crowd. And I don't have that worry on a virtual con. I've had friends that are extremely agoraphobic. And so they finally get to participate and stuff. So it is kind of a leveling experience in some ways for fans that have not been able to participate at all, to finally be able to participate in some way. We all know that it's not the same, but it's nice to have an option. And kind of speaking to that and kind of speaking to the community, there is this kind of weird thing as a female, as a member of the LGBTQ community, that cons are both really communal events and also really dangerous events too. And so there's been benefits of, like, I don't have to worry about somebody trying to grope me if I'm in cosplay, but I also really want to show off my cosplay. I don't have to worry about if I am, like, joking around with some sort of with a queer relationship or queer pictures in cosplay. I don't have to worry about that, but I also don't get to do that. So it's this, like, really fine line of, there are so many good things, but also so many bad things about virtual cons. There's not a nice, neat little box to put them in. I mean, 100% they are, especially when you start looking at these really fractured small cons, a cash grab, beyond a doubt. But for the fans, there is still a conversation that needs to be had beyond just the cash grab nature of it.
Yeah, I'm really glad you brought that up, Lyndsey, too, because I do think that's really important. Is that, like, is an acknowledgement that not everyone is experiencing that space in the same way, right? And so that needs to be sort of, and I think that, cons can and do put policies in place, but, like, on the ground, the actual enactment of those policies is a very different thing.
Especially at DragonCon. DragonCon's pretty bad about this in terms of when it does get pretty crazy, like on a Saturday, like how crowded it does get in the hotels. Considering it's not in a convention center, they're in hotels. Right. So the space is so confined that on a Saturday, you are bumper to bumper with other people. Right. So all of this inappropriate stuff that you hear about all the time is happening just because everyone's just so close to each other, and there's no way of policing it. So most certainly 100% agree with you that, because a lot of times conventions are sort of portrayed as these safe places where, we're all, us nerds can be nerds, but really it's not safe for everybody in a lot of different ways. So I definitely understand that. Let's go ahead and move on to Acid. Acid, what do you have to say?
Okay, so I have been an avid BlizzCon line attender for probably ever since they started it. I have purchased every ticket. I bought swag when they did. I mean, I've done all kinds of stuff with Blizzard. With that being said, that's the only conference online that I've ever attended. I've never attended one in person either. So this is kind of, BlizzCon line is my forte. I absolutely love it. I think it is amazing. They don't overcharge you. I think the most they ever charged was $49.99, but you got access to the whole 3 days. They gave you in-game stuff for all their games, which was really cool. And they gave you a discount code that you could use on their shop for something like 40% off. Of your one, you get one purchase with 40%. You put as much stuff in your cart as you want, 40% off. So of course I took advantage of that. And just the online experience, at least for them, I don't know how it is with DragonCon or other cons or how they do it, but with Blizzard, you get your calendar. It's right there in front of your face. You got your games. You got Hearthstone, Diablo, World of Warcraft, whatever you're into. And you have your panels. You have your what's new, what's coming, your MLG stuff. So you got your Hearthstone tournaments and your arena tournaments for all this other stuff. And you can pick and click what you want to see at whatever time is going on. And of course, being a big Hearthstone person, I usually just stay on the Hearthstone line the whole time. But every once in a while, I'll be like, oh, what's new with Diablo? Boom, that panel's coming up. Or that reveal's coming up. And I can watch it live. And if I missed it, and they've got some stupid stuff for an hour that I don't want to see, then I can just click back and go, oh, okay, I can watch this for that hour, even though it's already happened right then and there, which is really cool. Plus, my bathroom is right there. It's right there. I don't have to wait in line to get into the bathroom. I can go in, I can just open the door and sit or stand however I wish to do it, without anyone standing next to me or anything like that. I also have a kitchen. It's right over there. I can cook whatever food or pick up the phone and order whatever food I would like, healthy or non-healthy. Depends on, what the mood I'm feeling. Usually it's unhealthy. I have the keg gun down here. Anthony has these guns. I do not. So
But Acid, that's the point, Acid. At the con, there's no rules. All the rules that I set on myself about eating healthy, it no longer applies. So I can go.
But do you see that those rules that you set upon yourself, you did that to yourself? Okay.
I know. It's
I live life like your con. Okay. I live life like that, and I'm happy. Okay.
I do think there is a difference though between cons that are kind of designed intentionally to be online and cons that are going online because at first because they had to, now because of many other reasons, whether it be money or otherwise. So like if you have something that's intentionally designed to be online for the most part, or was really early designed to, it makes more sense. There's a lot. It's in general, it's better because they've had longer, and that's
because Blizzard's been doing it even before COVID. Like they did it, I think 5 or 6 years before COVID even hit. So the first year was a little sketchy, but after that, it was solid. They did a fantastic job with everything.
I don't know if you'd agree with this, but I also think there might be something to be said here about the fact that it's a con that's specific to sort of like networked gaming.
It is.
You know what I mean? And which I think is a little bit different. Maybe the people are very already adept at doing that kind of like network style of communication, as they're playing, right? And I think that might sort of like ease its way into like a virtual con format much more seamlessly than some other kind of forms of fan engagement. Maybe
I agree. I agree, because I watch a lot of me and CJ, we both love the fighting games. So I've watched many a Combo Breaker. I've watched many a Evo, and I love just sitting at my computer and just, dude, there's Sonic Fox, and he's going to take the championship with
And now that you got those
Sonya
flannel
again.
pants.
Now that I got my fleece pants, I can definitely enjoy the next Combo Breaker whenever that's going to happen. So, but I love now don't get me wrong. I would love to go. I would love to, at least one. Like, that's on my bucket list. I would love to go to a BlizzCon. I would love to go to a Combo Breaker. Like, that would just be awesome because that community is just sweet.
It's a good time.
Yeah, and maybe me and CJ can hit it up together. We'll just fly out there.
Road trip.
But that is just, but me right now with kids and everything, it's just not possible. There's no way I could do it right now. But, like, when they graduate, when I'm, in my 50s or late 40s or whatever, I'm going. I don't care. I'll be the old man sitting watching Mortal Kombat 16, it doesn't matter, whatever it is at the time. And I'm going to enjoy myself, and I'm going to have fun, and, I'm not wearing a mask because, Lord, I hope it's over by then. But, let's, I just, but as right now, the online experience is really good for me.
Yeah.
All right, very good, excellent. Yeah, so I was just going to say that is one thing that's worth mentioning is that I think this year Dragon Con was such a great example of that. Is that the people who could attend this year are those who are not high risk, right? Obviously, the people who could probably afford. So weren't affected by the pandemic and like in terms of losing their jobs, so they had more steady income, right? So we can include like socioeconomic status. We can talk about race as well. So it is sort of unfortunate that this year Dragon Con were people who could afford it, who had steady jobs, right? Who are not high risk, who don't have families that are high risk. So it is.
Did they go up in their ticket prices this year compared to? They didn't. Okay.
No, they didn't up theirs. But what they did do is they didn't have single day tickets for Saturday. And I'll say, and I think it's pretty safe to assume that a lot of people buy single day Saturday tickets because it's cheaper and that's the day to go. So,
right.
I'm also curious to what on one of CJ's points, him saying that the virtual cons are a cash grab. I don't know if I would necessarily agree with that, just because you're either going to the con or you're not going to the con and buying the virtual con, which I would assume would be cheaper than actually going, because you don't have to put up for a hotel room. You don't have to get a 3-day, 4-day, whatever, however long it is, pass for each single day. Wow. You pay your one fee, and you can watch all of it at the same time. So why would you say it was a cash grab?
But you're paying for it. So, like, for example, E3, right? You know, Nintendo pulled out indefinitely, and now they do Nintendo Direct all the time. And Nintendo Direct is free, so I don't have to buy plane ticket or do any of those other things to go see E3 and see Nintendo do their thing. So when Sony hasn't done it, but when any of these conventions say, hey, we're going to do this online and we're just going to give you a whole bunch of trailers, kind of to Suzanne's point, it's like, well, if Nintendo can do it, you can do it. And Nintendo's been doing it forever, and they've done it the best. So, no, but I do understand your point of view. I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I'm just, that whole demand type thing. I'm in the military. I'm a little hippie sometimes. So I'm just like, yo, the man keeps on sticking it to us, and I'm sick of it.
Yeah, it has that same like feeling of like all of the new subscription services that they have. Like, okay, we're gonna take NBC off and do this, and that's how like the cash grabbiness of it. That starts coming.
Like Nintendo breaking off from Netflix. Like, come on.
Yeah, it's the fragmentation of the con marketplace coupled with the fact that it all went online. And again, even if they're free, right? Like even if all the content is free, like we all have to remember that like the value add of these places for the industry is that the people are then going to go out and talk about this stuff, right? Yeah. Is they're basically mobilizing a promotional team full of fans, con goers, etc., to go out into the marketplace and sell that product.
And usually if it's free, they're getting some kind of ad revenue too.
Right, yeah.
So, Icy Hot's making their money,
Yeah, and again, like I think that so I am sympathetic to these cons that had to pivot online really quickly and did not have the infrastructure that like Blizzard did already in place, right? And that are like nonprofit organizations, right, that are just trying to kind of like bootstrap their way into like a couple years of online content. Like I'm very sympathetic to that. And so the mere fact that any of them managed to do it, but I think it weirdly did open up this kind of marketplace now where we had already seen kind of the big cons like San Diego Comic-Con getting chipped away at with all the kind of proprietary streaming platform. Everyone has got their own streaming platform. Everyone's got their own con now, right? And I like have been going to cons since back in the day. Like specific cons have always been around, right? Like I would go to Harry Potter cons back in the day. They were like specific Harry Potter cons. So it's not that smaller cons are new or that they're different in any way. It's just a matter of like, we now see that the industry is trying to sort of make their own little proprietary spaces, right? And so now it's not just like I can go to this one big con in a major city and kind of get a little bit of everything. I get my Marvel and my DC and my FX and my this and my that. I now have to go to like 18 different virtual cons, which just in terms of like,
exactly,
what is my time worth at a particular point, right? Like, I mean, that's another question I'm always asking is like, I look, tomorrow is To Doom, which is Netflix new fan con. And I put that in the loosest of air quotes because it just is basically sounds like it's a bunch of trailers that are going to play back to back. Well,
you got to use your whole hands.
Fan con. Well, the trailers play and the people freak out about the new, Stranger Things 4 trailer on YouTube or whatever. And like, that's cool. Like, I'll watch that trailer, but but just like showing people a bunch of trailers is not what a fan convention is, right? Even if they're introduced by The Rock, I don't care. Like that is not what we're there to see. Right?
So Harry Potter Harry Potter having Dwayne The Rock Johnson as Harry. You wouldn't.
That would be.
I mean, that
sounds like an SNL skit.
But also, like the small conventions have always been around, but the small conventions have always been around because of fan demand and fan movement.
Yeah, and they're fan run, right? Yeah. And a lot of these bigger cons are also fan run, you know what I mean, to a degree.
Like Dragon Con is.
I mean, Dragon Con is, Comic-Con is. Do you know what I mean? Right. It is essentially a fan run con, even though we associate it with this kind of like industry-centric kind of framework.
Right.
The industry uses it as a promotional vehicle for their stuff and to show off their stars and to get buzz going online and all of that good stuff. But like again, yeah, this is about fan labor, right? to a large degree. Like a lot of this is, unless you're talking about a company specific con, or like unless you're talking about like a D23, right? We're gonna go all across the sort of Disney conglomerate and give you all of our conglomerate offerings. Like, I mean, the emergence of those cons, I think, is a very different thing than like me and my friends and Harry Potter fandom putting on a Harry Potter con in Chicago. Like those are two very different balls of wax.
The entire reason for that face was not Suzanne, it was the mention of Disney. As my requirement for every time I end up on this podcast. Fuck Disney. I hate Disney.
They own us all. They own us all. No, so one thing that I sort of wrestle with in terms of this question is, do you think virtual cons will be around still after the pandemic? If the pandemic ever ends. Right.
Still gonna be
after the pandemic, do you think there will be some version of virtual cons? Because I feel like the industry is going to figure out very quickly that the con experience cannot be replicated virtually.
It's going to be a hybrid. It is, you know, no different than like that tail end of COVID. My wife, you know, she's at Washington University out in St. Louis, and she was in a hybrid, you know, classroom. You know, it was online, but she got the one-on-one with the Zoom and stuff. So I'm pretty sure, you know, it's like, kind of to Lyndsey's point, I think it would meet everybody's, you know, demand, or same thing with Acid there. It will meet everybody's, you know, personal needs. And hey, you can do it at home, but the question is, are they going to charge the same price for that ticket for a hybrid online convention as going in person? I think that's a good question there.
And I think keep the physical con the same, because they would save money if they like make the big panels or something like that, like online virtual, and just have smaller stuff, so it's either shorter weekend or fewer locations. Like with the Dragon Con, it's spread between like 5 or 6 different hotels, more when you consider the fan stuff going on. So they start shrinking it to save money physically, which will again change the actual experience.
I'm also thinking about demand, right? Like ticket demand. Like every year Comic-Con sells out, San Diego Comic-Con sells out like that. Right? Like if you don't, like, I'm lucky because I have like a professional badge, so I like get to be in a separate queue, and that's the only reason I get to go every year. That is legit the only reason. Otherwise I would be like completely SOL, right? Almost every year. And I think that, you know, some of this you could think about leveraging to this point of notion of like a hybrid con, like thinking about having the con, but also giving people access to like live streams of particular like notable panels or that sort of thing that they're opting into for like a much smaller kind of price point. Or you could go totally a la carte and be like, I just want to watch this panel, and they charge you like, you know, 99 cents. I don't know. I think that they're going to try a bunch of different business models before they settle on anything. But I think that inevitably you're going to have to keep some sort of digital component. It was already happening before they went digital. People were recording panels and putting them up online and streaming them simultaneously. Like it wasn't like that wasn't happening before this all started.
Being a little funny is just like church. You know, you got church in person and you got church online. But to my point again, hey, your tithes and offerings still the same. You know, and they expect the same out of your tithes and offering.
And now there's a web link.
I'm just saying.
Well, I think the online experience.
What makes the most sense is what's going to happen is it's definitely going to be a hybrid experience, but it's probably going to be far more interactive, meaning that it's going to be more mobile in terms of the experience. So you're going to have, it's going to be more like an application on your phone where I can stream a panel, but I can also go to another panel, right? So I can kind of there's the virtual augmented part of the con, and then there's the actual con, and you could do both. So if you didn't want to go to the actual con, you could just do the virtual portion, or you can just have the virtual experience sort of augmented on top of the actual in-person experience.
Right.
I definitely see
that. How do you make an interactive chat online?
What was that?
How do you make an interactive chat online with the virtual con? You know,
panels answer the chat's questions. It's it's coming, and the online experience for the con is only going to get better and better every year. And in 15 years, I mean, it's going to be so crazy. I'm waiting for whoever pulls the trigger first on having the VR seat, you know? So you're now there and you've got your little VR thing on. You're like, oh, look at that. And and you're online and you're chatting. And now you're the next person in line, you know, and you type in your question and somebody, you know, I mean, it's just a matter of time before it happens.
Yeah, that's definitely in the works probably. And like it's interesting because these cons know that there is something missing in them trying to figure out, because I think it was Comic-Con when they went virtual, they had a whole bunch of like links you could download Comic-Con signs to hang up around your house to make it feel more like you were at Comic-Con, which was just
it was like simultaneously so sweet and so grim. It was like, it felt like so dissociative to me, like that entire concept. But yeah, so I've already seen people chatting about, you know, what it would be like if it was in a virtual reality of some sort. But that's still going to be, that brings us back around to like some of the class and socioeconomic issues of, yes, virtual reality is becoming cheaper, but it's cheaper is the key part of that. It is not cheap.
Right. Yeah.
And you not only is it
the computer to run it isn't cheap.
The computer,
there's that too,
equipment, the space, everything. And are you in a place that has the type of connectivity to do that type of stuff? Yeah. And so it's just.
Well, a terabyte in 2004 was about $500, and look at it now. So let's hope the technology gets cheaper, and like literally cheap.
Yeah. So and once again, to sort of reiterate in my opinion, what the con experience is, and everyone has sort of said the same thing, is that it's more of it's the communal experience. It's getting with your friends, all packing into a hotel together, deciding where everyone's going to sleep, waking up, going to get breakfast together, going to panels, separating, doing your own things, coming back together, talking about your day, showing the things that you've bought, going and interacting with some of the vendors. Once again, one of my favorite parts of DragonCon this year was sort of my barter, my negotiation with the vendor to try to get him to come down on the price. Just like that communal experience, being in the environment itself is such a huge part of DragonCon. And obviously, we could talk about how people dress up as the carpet at DragonCon, right? So the carpet itself is such a big part of like the DragonCon experience. People dress up as the carpet.
What? Please explain that to me real quick.
So one of the hotels had really, really ugly carpet for like 2 years.
Sure, that's fair.
And then they got rid of it, and a whole bunch of people got really mad and really sad that they took away the ugly carpet. So now they come in dressed up as the ugly carpet and with like prints of the ugly carpet every year since.
All right, that's fair.
Cosplay is the best.
That's so really cool, actually.
And it's like not even just conventions. It's the same conversation we have with things like movie theaters. Over the past 2 years, we've discovered like movie theaters are never going to go away completely.
No, they're not.
It's the experience of being in a movie theater. Yes. And the experience of being at like a comedy club when you're watching a comedian. You laugh harder at the comedy club than you do at home, watching them on YouTube or something.
You also spend more money on your booze at the comedy club than you do at your house.
Unless you know the bartender.
Unless you know the bartender.
Excuse me, Lyndsey. You know the
bartender. I don't know any bartenders.
All right, so what we're gonna do? I'm gonna give Suzanne the last word here, then we'll move on to trivia. Go ahead, Suzanne.
Oh, I don't know that I have a last word here. I mean, I think that we're all sort of gesturing towards the same thing, which is I don't think this is going anywhere. I think that what needs to be invested in is figuring out ways to replicate or have some kind of facsimile of those kinds of social interactions that we're talking about, right?
Right.
And chat alone might not do it.
Right.
I think that there's ways in which, like, I think people might use Discord in really fun ways to have like different Discord channels around particular fandoms, so they could be talking about the panel within sort of various niches within the fandoms. I think people could use pre-existing platforms that already exist and that are free in really novel and fun ways to kind of get some of that communal experience back into virtual cons. I think that there's not a lot of incentive necessarily for cons always to put that infrastructure in place. So just like fans have always been running and making these things work, and they're very good at building online community, I feel like this might be a case where fans need to kind of take up this charge if they want to sort of replicate these experiences that they've been missing in person.
All right, excellent. Well said indeed. All right, so let's go ahead and quickly move on to our final segment of the show, and that's trivia. Unless, Suzanne, if you do you have a hard out, as they say in the biz?
I have a hard out in about probably 10 minutes. A little
All right,
under 10 minutes.
One trivia question, and that will be
Oh,
it.
God.
Go ahead, Acid.
All or
Okay.
nothing. Wonderful.
Oh, I only get one?
Oh,
You only get
no.
one. Do
Oh,
it.
God.
Choose wisely.
I
know
don't know.
we kind of we went a little long today, but
Nah, it's only been 20 minutes. Anthony's like, I'm ready for bed.
wow. That is
All
very
right.
true.
Well, let's go. You know what? Let's just go with an easy one. Well, I'm hoping that we can all, or that you can all, rather, get at least some of these. So name as many Flintstone characters as you can. Remember the cartoon?
Yeah,
The
how does this work? Do we
Flintstones?
just go around as like round
This is what's going
robin?
to happen. I will ask you that, you know.
Okay.
So how many Flintstone characters can you name? We'll give you a minute to think about it. And you will give me a number. You'll give me a number of how many answers you have. And whoever has the highest number will have to prove it. And if you can prove it, then you win. We usually do this 3 times,
Okay.
but Anthony's ready for bed, so
I've got 5.
I have 4.
okay.
Let me see.
The new doc on the block has 5.
I have 10.
10!
Oh,
Are there
my.
even 10
10
characters?
Flintstone
for the
characters?
Flintstones?
Yes, I know. I ate the Flintstone vitamins. I love Flintstones.
I was gonna say
see.
you can't just say like flavors of Flintstones, like
No,
cherry.
no.
Yeah,
I love the
count.
Flintstones.
We
They
need
were-
the
they were
character
amazing.
names. I need character names,
Is
not
anyone
that dude
beating
with the
10?
thing
I
on
would
it.
be stunned. Lyndsey, do you have more than 10?
I had
Okay,
5.
CJ,
Yeah,
let's
I
hear
had
your
5 too.
let's hear your 10 because I don't think anybody else has got 10.
All right, so we got Barney, we got Fred, we got
Yep.
Wilma,
Yep.
we got Betty,
Okay.
Bam Bam,
Yep.
Pebbles, Dino, Mr.
Yep.
Slate, and Kazoo.
That's 9, but yeah, that's pretty good.
Mr. Slate.
not-
was-
He's Fred's boss.
Okay, I know, I believe you. I just like that did not even
That
in
was
any of the corners of my deep memory. I remember Kazoo when you said it. I was like, yeah, Kazoo. But yeah,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
other
Kazoo's
one's
a good one.
hard.
all right. That was
got-
quick. That was quick. Let's do one more. Let's do one
One
more.
quick one. Okay, one quick one.
Okay, how many
We gotta
How many Tim Burton films can you name?
Tim Burton films. Ooh.
Tim Burton.
Hang on,
Tim
I'm gonna
Burton
straight
films.
up. This I might be a contender in. Hang on.
Okay, Tim Burton films. I'll give you a minute.
So I know
Think
that's
about
not
it.
a Tim Burton film. That's Tim Burton produced. We're saying
Yeah.
films directed,
Films directed Tim Burton films. Yep.
not produced.
Yep. No googling.
I'm just writing
I'm
down.
not Googling. I'm writing
I'm
down.
not
I'll have
googling.
to
I'm
look
writing
at
down too. I swear.
I'm not.
being-
I just gotta make sure.
I know. I can
Um,
see your computer screens.
What's funny is that as much as I like horror and like dark and gothic stuff, I don't watch Tim Burton stuff. So
What?
Yeah.
What?
I've seen very.
flipping man.
I haven't seen a lot of Tim Burton stuff, but the Tim Burton things that I have witnessed, I have enjoyed. I'll give him that.
It's not my favorite.
Let me see.
So.
My favorite.
it's amazing.
After the
It's so good.
answers are revealed, I'll give you my favorite Tim Burton movie. All right, so we'll start.
I definitely don't know directed versus produced.
We'll start
I have
with-
1, 2, 3,
Oh.
4, 5, 6. I think
Oh.
I have 7.
7. Okay,
Yeah.
so the next would be 8. So who does anyone have 8? I know Lyndsey. Look at her. She's like, yeah, I've got 27.
I have
Look at
7
me.
as well.
I have like
Oh.
3.
I also have 7. Sorry.
Oh, can no one get an 8th?
I'm trying.
Anyone.
I do have one. Oh gosh.
Whoever says 8 and can prove it wins this round,
Oh man,
and will win all the free
all the marbles.
all the free
what is
Flintstone
that movie
vitamins.
called? Oh God.
The one with the glasses.
The one with the
No,
thing
no,
and
no.
the stuff.
Oh God.
Oh, I
It's
can't
too
remember the
late
name
in
of
the
it.
week.
Oh, wait,
I
no,
got it.
that's-
I maybe have 8.
Okay. 8. Okay.
Okay.
Anyone have 9?
No, I don't have 9. I have 8.
All right, Dr.
you
Scott.
guys have
Let's
8.
hear it. Let's hear the 8. I need to hear the 8.
Okay.
I would like to hear it.
Beetlejuice.
Okay.
Boom. Got it.
Ed Wood.
Boom. Got it.
Edward Scissorhands.
Yep.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory remake.
Oh, I forgot about that
Yeah,
one.
you can't.
Dark
forget about that.
Shadows.
Yeah, that's.
I forgot about Dark
Big
Shadows.
Fish.
He did Big Fish?
He did Big Fish.
I forgot about
This is the one that I don't know if this is. This might. Oh, Sleepy Hollow. Did I say Sleepy Hollow?
Sleepy Hollow.
Okay.
You did not, but that's one.
A movie that is better if you just don't listen to it at all and you just watch it as a silent film. That's a pro tip from me to you. And Big Eyes, I believe, is also Tim Burton, or is that a produced only?
I don't know. I'm gonna give you that one though.
I don't know about that. That's my question mark one, and I know there's a million I'm forgetting. So
I'm surprised you missed the two big ones.
Batman Returns.
Batman and Batman Returns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yep,
Yeah, I was
that's
waiting on
good
that one
too.
to show up.
James
Yeah.
Franco.
I went
Corpse
deep cuts.
Bride?
Yeah, Corpse Bride also. Yeah, I don't know why in these kinds of games I never remember the most obvious things. My brain
about
just completely
Alice in-
blocks them out. Alice in Wonderland.
Alice in
I was
Wonderland.
about to put that. I thought he produced it.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he made it. Okay.
I don't know if Big Eyes was in
All
that.
right. Well, I'm gonna give
He
that one
directed that movie.
to
Okay.
Suzanne. Suzanne, fantastic.
Planet of the Apes.
Planet of
Well
the
done.
Apes.
He did that?
Not the
Apparently.
most recent reboot, but the
Yeah.
one.
The one
not
before it.
Mark Wahlberg 90s.
Oh,
Yeah.
the old
That
one.
didn't even look like his style. Okay.
Yeah.
That kind of threw me off. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That'd be
very
reading
good.
a
That's
Wikipedia page. I don't need to be on.
So that's the show for today. Thank you everyone for watching. Of course, you can check us out on Spotify as a podcast form, and you can also check us out on YouTube as well. You can check out that Dragon Con episode that we kept talking about. Right, that was a good one, huh? How about that? For Dr. Suzanne Scott, for CJ MDSoul, for Lyndsey, and for Acidtrain. That's the show for today.
That's me.
Have a good one,
Yeah.
everybody, and goodbye.
Thanks, y'all. It was fun.
Yeah.